Hey guys, Damon Black Warrior Lures. Finally, time to get back on building this rod that I've been talking about off and on since what, like Thanksgiving or Halloween or something. And what I've decided to do is, since I've tested out these SW60s and they work really well for what I'm wanting to do, I'm just going to build me another rod, almost a duplicate of this. That way I can drift two rods for my lightweight drifting for either bluegill or eating sized catfish. And for trophy cat class fish, I'll use my hand lines if I want to just catch bigger ones. The hand lines can handle the weight, and I don't have to worry about the rod and reel. And so what we've done, remember I've said many times that this rod here is a sort of a combination of a couple of different rods I've built over time. This is a 9 weight that I built last year, and this is a 5/6 weight that I built a couple of years before that. We got traffic coming, so they always get in the way. And so what ends up happening is if you if you average a 9 weight and a 5 and 6 weight, you'll get somewhere about to 7 weight. And so that's why I just went ahead and bought a 7 weight fly rod blank. This is a 9 footer here, and I think this is going to be, this thing is slightly less than 9 feet because this 4 foot there and 5 foot on the bottom. So 4 plus, wait a minute, 4 plus 5 is 9. So it is 9 feet. Whereas this is just 9 feet anyway. So, and this is all graphite, whereas this is half fiberglass, half graphite. But the whole point is that they will both basically, oh, see, look at there, it is a little longer. Oh, I think that may be like a 10 footer or something. That's like 8.5 foot. As you can see, the little bit of a difference there. One slightly longer than the other, but you can see a very similar sort of taper, things like that. Essentially, it amounts to the same thing. They'll both accomplish the same thing. Um, we're going to be basically drifting light line up there in the clear waters of the Black Warrior River, and so that's what you do, and that's what we'll have. It's a nice straight, very very lightweight graphite blank there. So that's the blank. That's why I chose that blank. I just like lightweight fishing, ultralight fishing in general. If I'm going to go heavy, just give me a direct line to the fish. If I'm going to go light, give me the equipment that I can use, like the long limber rods and the light drag, double drag reel, so I can do it. Handle material is going to be quarter ounce, quarter-inch diameter braided cotton line that will be epoxied and then varnished, as you can see. I'll show you the difference here. You see the difference, has a nice honey colored varnish on it, and beautiful there. Makes for a nice, beautiful rod handle. A lot of people ask me about that, but that's all it is. It's just line. The other components here are, and I have some other components in the house from other builds, is a, what is this? I forget. Yeah, it's an 18mm reel seat. Kind of wish I had gotten the gold trim to match the gold trim on the SW60. I have a bunch of single foot guides. As you can see, this one has a single foot guide that I had from a previous rod, and a bunch of double foot guides from, well, again, a previous rod. This is sort of a hodgepodge of rods components that I put together, and that's why I'm taking everything I've learned and that I've tested with this and building it all into one rod straight from the front. So we have all our, single foot guides that'll make it even lighter than it currently is. The graphite is definitely cast better because it just so you've got a nice big eye here. So one of the things I learned was this eye was way too small. As you can see, the eye there was way too small. Oop. And if you notice something else, I don't use a tip top guide on my rods. I always just use another rod and just put that on the tip and just use it like any other than that's basically it. Other than that, we need to move on to building the rod. So let's move on. First step in building the rod here is going to be finding the spine of the rod. So what you do is take it, put it on a hard surface. Because of the way the fibers lay, there's a certain point where the rod just naturally wants to bend. You know, it'll just naturally snap to a certain point, like right there is where it wants to be. And you may have several points like that on it, but it'll roll back and forth, and you just do that. And they have special tools that you can do this with, but like that is all you need. Be very sensitive. Don't hold it by the tip because you'll break it, but just you know, just and hold it like that. And then what you want to do is take a China marker and mark that. Now the spine is always going to be on the outside of it. And what you're marking is essentially the inside of the spine, as I remember. You're marking the inside of the spine, and that's where the eyes are going to go. And so the different, if we were building a bait caster, you just have to mark the outside of it where the eyes are going to go. So essentially, you're just finding where the rod bends easiest. You do that for the top one, like that. And then you mark it, and it'll be there. What do you mark it with? You can either mark it with a China marker. Best thing to use is, ooh, look at that. There's a little scratch on there. I'm not sure if I think it's just a scratch. Just I hope it is. If it's a crack, I'm going to be mad. And you do it for the bottom one. Same thing here. It'll, you know, you want, yeah, right there, about right there is where it wants to go. It just snaps, and then, again, you just take your China marker, mark it there like that, you know, and then from there, and that's how you do that. Once I mark it, I mean, you can use a color pencil, you can use a China marker, you can use whatever you have, magic marker. Colored pencils in white or yellow, something like that, seem to work pretty well because they mark well. But I can't find my colored pencils, so I got to go find them. That's why I don't have it in this video. But for me, I'm not so picky about what the rod looks like. And if you want to see, there's some. You see that marking right there? Actually, that's not the spine. That's just from where it's been resting on the boat. I may need to put some cushion there or something. Yeah, you can see little markings and tracings here. You know, that's just been weathered on the sun and things over the years, and these could be rebuilt, but I'm not going to worry about them. You can see that's where I marked it there, and that's just kind of how I do it with a China marker. You just mark it all the way down, and once you just mark it, even you don't have to mark it all the way down if you don't want. You could just mark it, place your first eye, and then align everything off that one eye. And you're always going to be checking alignment anyway, so it's not all that important to necessarily mark the whole thing up, because you're not going to necessarily be accurate in your marking. Just mark it as you're bending it like that or whatever. Mark it with your China marker, and then you and then you can just place the one eye on, and then align everything off that eye. That's just how I do that. You know, it's pretty simple. Rod building is pretty simple. In general, I hardly even use a rod vise. I'll do it, just wrap everything by hand, and because I'm not producing these. I mean, so I don't really need that. If I were making them and selling custom rods, I definitely would. But all it takes is a few components like that, and I get all my stuff from Jan's Netcraft, as you may have heard. And so let me go do that. Get the spine marked up on you. Probably show you before I start wrapping up the eyes on it. And then, you know, we'll go from there.